Hi guys, welcome back to New Dram Drinker. Another review for you today. And today's review is our latest Somerton bottle. If you don't know what Somerton Club is or how you get involved in it, and we'll put the details down below. Basically, we get given a bottle every 2 months, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah, it's always something a bit interesting, something a bit different.
We don't get given it. You have to pay, you know what I mean? That's a hell of a good
Sorry,
club.
they
send
If you can
sign up and just get given whiskey, you know, every 2 months, sign me up. But no,
we pay a subscription, and every second month they send us a bottle, don't they?
Yeah.
So let's have a look what it was.
Deanston, everybody knows it, don't they? It's a brand you should have on your bar, by all respects, from what people say. It's a brand that we've had a couple of in the past before, haven't we? We've enjoyed them, but we've never really gone out of our way to explore them.
Never really invested much in it. I remember we had the Morrison's special.
But we only bought that because it was kind of on the shelf.
And everybody was talking about it,
yeah, it was the
I
big
do
thing.
Remember my first ever Deanston was, we went to Heart of England whiskey meetup, and Paul Gibbs shared his Deanston for a very short amount of time because he hid it then because it was so lovely, and it was just absolutely beautiful. But yeah, we haven't really bought many. No reason other than it's just on the list, isn't it? Yeah.
And you might kind of have noticed in the last few videos we have kind of gone to brands that you kind of should have on your bar, or you feel like you should have on your bar as a new dram drinker, because they're the brands that everyone seems to rave about.
Yeah.
And they haven't quite always hit the mark with us. No. So we thought we'd give Deanston a go. Just so happens, like I said, that it's the Somerton bottle, so it made it easy for us, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought we'd give it a go and just see what we actually think of this, because, you know, like you say, I remember when this was first kind of, everyone started receiving it from the Somerton Club, everyone was like, wow, this is amazing. This is one, you know, how did you get this for this price and things like that? And we were like, okay, let's give this a go, because we hadn't tried it before. So that's exactly what we're doing now for you. Obviously, we took our notes during the week again, and we will bring some up in a bit. But first of all, before we start that, we need to take a look at the bottle.
I do quite like these kind of labels, I'm going to say. Ant and I have had just a discussion about this. I like the ones where they appear handwritten, bit of stamp, you know, there's a bit of sort of like a vintage feel to it, and I'm a bit like that, so I quite like that kind of look. It's quite nice. There was one thing that made me laugh on the back of the label. It says natural ingredients, water, malted barley. Like, that's it. Literally, that's it.
Couldn't be any more kind of on the
it
nose.
made me laugh. It was just like...
for me, it's, you know, a Deanston bottle. It's got the shape, you know, instantly. Something about it that they've done that just kind of screams Deanston to you when you see it on the shelf. It was, like I said,
bottle shape,
before,
isn't it?
It was when we went to Morrison's and we saw their other bottle that was a Morrison's release. And I was walking up the aisle and I could tell it was on the shelf because I'd been looking for weeks before and it was never there. And I was walking up the aisle and I could see it before I could even tell what it, you know, I could see the shape of the bottle, which was telling me it was there before I actually knew what it actually was. But it's nice. It's embossed. I would have the embossedness kind of is an extra touch because they didn't need to do that, which is all the things that I like when they've done it. So you've got like the Deanstons embossed. This is kind of made to look like it's been stamped on there.
And I've just taken some pictures for social media. Look at the cork. And I was like, look at the detail. I never pay enough attention to corks, and actually some of them are really, really lovely. So Tom has been doing some new videos, whiskey shorts, and he has done a video on corks and what he does with them. And we never thought about doing anything like that, to be honest. We just stick them in a big jar and kind of just keep them for a rainy day, and which never seems to come along. But that's like our history, isn't it? That's how we're documenting our journey.
But then we kind of use that to document our journey. Then we open, like, we get them out to have a look, and we can't remember what they were from unless it says on there what it was. I think
this one does.
What's this one from?
Yeah,
but yeah, so it's it kind of works, but doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very light golden, very light straw colour.
Like sunshiny.
It's natural colour, so you know everything that you're seeing in there is completely natural. I found it a little bit strange because on the box and on the bottle it says that it's non-chill filtered, but it doesn't mention that it's natural colour or not. Now, it might be my inexperience, but I read that it tells you that it's non-chill filtered, but because it doesn't mention anything about the colour, I thought, oh, it means it's coloured. Because surely they would scream about it a little bit more if it wasn't, But I don't know whether that's just me, or would you come to the same conclusion?
If they didn't put it on there, I'd be a bit suspicious.
If you didn't
as to
know,
why.
you would think, well, if you've gone to
Clearly
the trouble
not,
of
is it?
telling us it's non-chill filtered, why haven't you gone that extra mile and just said it's not coloured either?
Yeah.
But we looked into it, and it seems to be natural colour, so fair enough. But yeah, gorgeous, light, kind of, you said sunshine, I think it's kind of closer to maybe like a straw colour.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get on to the nose.
On the nose, Anthony said banana, there's a bourbon note, vanilla, fruit note, white fruits. It's creamy with an alcohol note and a slightly spicy note. Nicky said that it's like artificial banana sweets, honeydew melon, fresh fruits, floral or perfume, furniture polish with a subtle bourbon note. So when I nosed this in the week, I instantly got the banana note. You know, sometimes the bourbons or the first fill like this one is, you get that little sort of note, don't you, along with all the bourbon, the caramels, the vanillas. It was the banana, but it wasn't like fresh banana. It was like banana sweets to me. You know, that artificial sort of sweet note.
Was it similar note to the Woodford? Because that was a heavy banana kind of note.
But that was more like fresh banana, because that is a bourbon.
Yeah.
This one I felt was like an artificial, you know, those sweets, the banana soft foamy sweets, and melon, like honeydew melon, like the real white. You said white fruits, didn't you? But it was melon to me.
Yeah. To me, this took me straight to, and I've used this before, it's the banana boat. I think I probably used it for Woodford review, but it's the banana boat in one of those glass kind of boat trays that they come in.
From the 80s.
From the 80s, with the ice cream, the banana, the
cherry on the top.
The cherry, but you know, like all the white fruits that are, and please don't hold me to, out of the can, so the squares, the perfectly cut squares, they're all in the bottom, and you've eaten all that, all the cream and everything, you've eaten all that, and then in the bottom of the glass boat is just the sauce, where it's all mixed together, the cream's melted into it, so it's creamy, it's sugary, you just want to get the boat and drink all the juice out the bottom. That to me is this. It is 100% this note. It just takes me straight to there every time.
It is like the fruitiness is the white fruits, but I also got a floral note, and I wrote down furniture polish, then I crossed it out, and then I wrote it again. But it's like those really fruity, again, artificial smell. Yeah. Furniture polish, you know, like that you just sort of, or air freshener or something like that.
I almost get a little bit as well of like a brandy snap now.
Oh, okay. What surprised me, I thought we'd get more of the bourbon notes. I thought we'd have the caramel and the vanillas, and I'm not really getting that. I think
they are there.
The brandy snap is kind of like that.
In that, but I'm getting almost like a spice. And I thought originally it was like a ginger, but I think I'm heading more towards like the brittle brandy snaps in that tube.
That's like caramel, isn't
cream.
It? Yeah.
I'm getting that almost.
Yeah.
It's a very
I
nice
get the
note.
wood. There's a wood note as well.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a real funky note there that I can't quite place, but I think it's like the wood.
Yeah.
Maybe the furniture polish, dusty shelves. Yeah. It is a funky note, and maybe that's because it's 18. I tend to get that kind of funky note that I can't quite put my finger on.
Perhaps
with older whiskies.
Perhaps the wood's the little wooden spatula you eat your pudding with.
I don't think so.
That's going back.
That's not aged wood. That's like we're so from the 80s, aren't we? On the palate, Anthony said ginger biscuits, a massive spicy tingle, mustiness, furniture polish, leather. Nicky said oak cask, it's got a cold mouthfeel, a spicy tingle like ginger, and there's a funky note that's like furniture polish.
To me, this is where it kind of does a 180 on me a little bit. It goes from just being fruity and banana boaty into a bit more of a leathery...
Banana boaty. Banana boat. Melon boat. Sorry.
Can I carry on with my in-depth analysis of this?
Well, they already think we're old because it's like from the 80s, but
Okay.
In-depth analysis.
where I was going with this before I was rudely interrupted by this one is when I was younger, I used to live with my nan and granddad, and I used to enjoy polishing his boots. He had like this thing, he used to love keeping his boots polished, and I used to love doing it. So I used to go upstairs and he'd give me this little pack that he'd had for many years when he was in the army probably, and it was a leather pouch with 2 brushes in there and a pot of the black polish. And I used to sit there, talk to him, learn things about when he was in the war and things like that, and just have a good old chin wag with him, watch some wrestling, the old wrestling, and polish his boots. And this is very much the leather, the polish, the mustiness, because it was such an old pouch, and it takes me straight back to that.
Don't you love that? I just love that a whiskey, you can nose it, you can taste it, and you instantly go, that's what that... So there wasn't any polish, because you've polished your shoes since then. So it wasn't the polish you bought recently or polished your shoes, but it was that.
Yeah.
Because it was every element, wasn't it? The leather. I didn't get the leather. I wrote down in the week, definitely the funky note. It's definitely the polish. There's a slightly floral note, which is what made me think on the palate, on the nose, the floral polish. But actually, it's more like... It is like dusty bookshelves to me. You know, that whole when you're dusting and you've got the polish, and there is a delicious spicy tingle, which is ginger.
Yeah,
ginger all the way.
That, yeah. There's definitely the... Yeah. Don't get me wrong, the fruits don't disappear completely. They're still there.
And it's not a sweet whiskey. I feel like...
the spices kind of...
yeah, and the fruits for me...
the fruit, isn't it?
We had a bit of a difference because you said that you felt this was a really creamy whiskey. Yeah. It was so cold for me. It was a cold mouthfeel. And I think the fruits, the melons, and not so much the banana, but the melon, that's like that freshness. You know, in your mouth, it's like cold and fresh. But that funky note, that mustiness, the shelves and the polish is definitely there. Anthony said it's medium with spices and a strange dirty note. Nicky said medium finish, a spicy tingle and a funky musty note. So the finish to me I think is medium, but I'm going to say not all the flavours hang around. So I think you get the spicy tingle and that funky note is there. I can taste it in my mouth still.
What kind of funky note would you say then?
I think it's that dusty bookshelves and the polish, like the mustiness, and the spicy tingle is there. But I would say lots of the other flavours aren't there. They don't last.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's very much all of the fruits like not there on the finish, isn't it? It's kind of gone straight away. But that spicy, gingery kind of note, it almost goes really kind of musty at the very end as well. Almost like a dirty kind of bit of a funky edge on the finish. It's a strange one. It's nice. It's very different from the rest, from the nose and the palate finishes. I
almost feel like the textures or the feeling in my mouth lasts longer than the flavours. Yeah,
it's making my mouth water, the finish has, and I do want to drink it again, so that's a good finish, isn't it? Okay, so I have to stop myself from going, all right, every time now, because of you.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yes, you were.
You brought it up. I never brought it up.
You'd have brought that up.
I might have laughed.
So, I genuinely have to stop myself from saying it.
Maybe you've realised how often you say it.
You made me realise how often I say it.
Sorry.
So, the award we are going to give this is, it's not your average teenager. To us, this is a very mature whiskey. It's got a lot going on. It's interesting. It's given us different notes, different angles all the way through, different kind of levels all the way through. It's been very enjoyable all the way through.
We loved talking about this earlier in the week, didn't we? It was one of those evenings where you go, oh, what do you think about this? Do you know what this made me think of? Oh, how about this? Oh, and now I'm getting one of these notes. And it was just a good... back and forth. It was really pleasurable.
Yeah, it's not a stroppy teenager in the salon, trust me. Yeah. We've had 3.
She's very mature at this one.
So we know a stroppy teenager. But
we've enjoyed hanging out with this teenager.
We have, it's been fun to have in the house, which you don't say very often. But we enjoyed it. So recommend you giving it a go.
It's nice,
To be honest, it's well worth it. So,
yeah, and it's made me want to try more Deanstons again. You know,
that's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah,
Because
I'd say this is not like anything I've tasted before. And I've had quite a few 18-year-olds.
But how many whiskies have we tried?
That sounded awful when I said that. As soon as I said it, I was like, oh, that sounds awful. I've had quite a few 18-year-old whiskies. But yes, this was an interesting one. I could talk about this. I would recommend this. Yeah.
One of the nicest 18-year-olds you've had.
One of the nicest 18-year-old whiskies I've had.
Good. On that note, we'll call it a day and have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.